I thought I had amnesia after an accident, but it turned out to be proof that I was being turned into a puppet for a conspiracy. My first memory was a blank. I opened my eyes and saw a white ceiling. The smell of antiseptic filled my nose. My head ached, and my mind was completely empty. I didn't know who I was or where I was. All I felt was a cold sense of panic. The door opened, and a gray-haired man with deep-set eyes walked in. When he saw that I was awake, he rushed to my side and took my hand. His hand was warm. "My daughter," he said, his voice hoarse. "You're awake." Daughter? The word meant nothing to me. Who am I? I asked, my voice sounding foreign. His eyes welled up with tears. He explained that I was Cecile, his daughter. My sister, Amélie, had just died in an accident. The shock had caused me to lose all my memories. It was a story. It filled the void in my mind, explaining the vague sadness I was feeling. He was Pierre, my father. This man, with the obvious pain on his face, was my only family. I was weak. I was scared. I needed someone to hold on to, and I believed him, completely. In the following days, my father, Pierre, never left my side. He showed me old photos. "This is you and Amélie at the beach," he said, pointing to a girl with eyes like mine, smiling brightly next to an older girl. "You two were always inseparable." He told endless stories. About vacations, about Christmas evenings. He told me how much Amélie loved and protected me. Gradually, his stories became my memories. I started to remember Amélie's smile, to remember the feeling of being hugged by her. I looked at the photos and saw myself in them, a happy little girl with a perfect older sister. He also told me about the person who caused the accident. His voice was full of hatred. "He took our Amélie away," he said. His hands clenched tight. "He ruined our family. We must never forget." His hatred slowly took root in me too. I hated the anonymous person who took away the sister I loved, the sister I only knew through photos and stories. The pain of loss became so real that I could feel it, an emptiness in my chest every time I looked at Amélie's photo on the nightstand. I felt endless love from my father, Pierre, and responded with absolute trust. I was Cecile, his second daughter, the younger sister grieving for her loss. That was who I was. I was certain of it. He kept me very sheltered. He said I needed to recover and stay away from outside influences. No television, no internet, no news. My world consisted only of him, his stories, and the hatred he planted in my head every day. He called them memory therapy sessions. Every day, we sat together, and he helped me remember details, reinforcing the pain and hatred for that family, the ones who caused the tragedy. "They destroyed us, Cecile," he said, his voice calm but heavy. "You have to be strong. For Amélie." I fully believed in my role. I was his daughter. His love was real, and the growing hatred in me was a completely natural emotion. It was the only thing I could do for my lost sister. Then the headaches started. They came suddenly, intensely, as if someone was drilling into my temples. He said it was a lingering symptom. I believed him, but during the headaches, strange images appeared. A white dress falling. A strange man, older than him, with a face distorted by anger, and a desperate hand reaching out, trying to hold on. They weren't like any of the memories he told me. I told him about them, but he just shook his head. "It's just the shock, my daughter. Your mind is confused. Don't think about it anymore." I tried not to think about them, but the images were still there, lurking, waiting. One afternoon, I found a strange envelope in the mailbox. No stamp, no return address, just the name, Cécile. I hid it. In my room, I opened it. A scrap of paper with a messy note and an encrypted email address. The note read, "Your father is not your real father. You are being deceived." My hands trembled. It was absurd. But those images came back. I didn't think. I gave it to him. His reaction was very strange. He wasn't sad, he was angry. An intense anger. "Those bastards!" he roared. "They killed Amélie, and now they want to tear us apart." He crumpled the paper and forbade me from contacting anyone. He said only he could protect me. His reaction didn't reassure me. It made me start to doubt. The doubt pushed me to act. One afternoon when he was out, I started rummaging, without a purpose, just an urge. I found it under a loose floorboard in my room, an old leather wallet. Inside, there was an ID card. The photo on it was me, but my face was slightly different. And the name wasn't Cécile Dubois, it was Elise Renault. Next to it was another card, a professional license. Dr. Elise Renault, resident doctor. My world collapsed. Cécile, Amélie, a lie, all of it. I wasn't his daughter. I was a doctor. I was a completely different person. And the man I called my father had stolen my life. I put the wallet back under the floorboard. I closed it. When he came home, I smiled. From that moment on, everything became a play. I was still Cécile. I still took the pills he gave me. I still acted weak. But inside, I was waiting. The opportunity came on Tuesday. He had an appointment and would be gone for 3 hours. As soon as his car was out of sight, I snuck into his office. His old computer. I turned it on, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't have much time. I created a temporary email, retyped the encrypted address from the note. The email's content. I received the letter. Who am I? I pressed send. I deleted the history. I deleted the temporary files. I turned off the computer. I went back to my room, breathless. The next day, I only had a few minutes while he was in the garden. I repeated the process. I logged in. There was a reply. He destroyed all of us. If you want to know the truth, meet me. Thursday, 3 p.m., Le Corbeau Café, in the back corner. Come alone. Le Corbeau? Crowded. Safe. I deleted the email, all traces. Now, I needed a convincing excuse to leave the house alone for 2 hours. The play had to continue. And I couldn't afford to make a mistake. I lied. I told him I needed to go out and buy a new book, that I felt well enough to go out alone for a little while. He hesitated, but finally agreed, probably because my performance was too perfect. I arrived at Le Corbeau Café at exactly 3 p.m., choosing a table in the back corner as instructed. My heart was pounding. A few minutes later, a young woman with puffy eyes, but a terrifying determination in them, walked towards my table. She looked at me, a complex look, mixed with pain, and a hint of anger. You came, she said, sitting down across from me. Who are you? I asked directly. I'm Lena, she replied. And I'm here to tell you the truth. Lena's voice trembled, but every word she spoke was like a hammer blow. First, you are not Pierre Dubois's daughter. I nodded, trying to stay calm. I know. Lena seemed surprised, but she continued. Amélie's death. It was an accident. There was no enemy. No one killed her. My head buzzed. So, the family he made me hate. They are innocent, Lena interrupted. Then she said something that stunned me. Pierre Dubois had 2 daughters, Amélie and another one, named Marie. Lena took a deep breath. After Amélie died, he became obsessed. He forced Marie to live like her, wearing Amélie's clothes, playing Amélie's music. He wanted to turn Marie into a perfect copy. The girl couldn't handle the pressure. She committed suicide. My whole body went cold. And the last thing you need to know, Lena said, looking me straight in the eyes, is that when Marie died, you were there. I was there. Lena's words were still hanging in the air when a dark shadow fell over our table. Cécile! That familiar but furious voice made me jump. It was him, Pierre. His face was contorted with rage, his eyes wild. He had been watching me. What did you say to her? He roared. Not to me, but to Lena. Do you want to destroy another one? He grabbed my hand, pulling me up roughly. Go home now. You're not to talk to this crazy woman. She's one of the people who killed Amélie. Don't you understand? Lena jumped up. You're the crazy one. Tell her the truth about Marie. Shut up, he screamed, pulling me towards the door. Everyone in the cafe was staring at us. I struggled, but he was too strong. As he pulled me through the door, he leaned close to my ear. His voice a whisper, but as cold as ice. Don't believe her, Cecile. She wants to deceive you. Just like she made that other girl leave me. Just like she made that other girl leave me. My whole body stiffened. That other girl? Marie. If what Lena said was true, then his last sentence was a confession. He didn't just blame that family for Amélie's death, he also blamed Lena for Marie's death. In his rage, he had accidentally confirmed that all his lies were built on a single truth, the existence of a second daughter who had died. He dragged me home, threw me into my room, and locked the door. I didn't resist. I just sat on the bed, my mind blank. His whisper echoed in my ears. Just like she made that other girl leave me. Then the headache came. It wasn't like the others. This time, it wasn't a drill. It was a flood. A dam broke, and the memories that had been suppressed for months poured out, overwhelming me. I was no longer Cecile. I was Elise. Dr. Elise Renaud. I remembered everything. The first scene, a country road. An overturned bicycle, Amélie lying on the ground, her breath weak. I was the first one there. I tried to give her first aid, tried to keep her alive until the ambulance came, but it was too late. Then he appeared, screaming, blaming me, blaming my incompetence for not being able to save his daughter. The second scene, a few months later, at his house. I was called for a case of nervous breakdown. The patient was Marie, his second daughter. I saw the despair in her eyes, the emptiness of someone forced to live someone else's life. I tried to talk to her, to convince him to take her for psychological treatment, but he refused. And then, right in front of me, Marie threw herself from the balcony. I was there. I witnessed it all. He once again blamed me. He yelled that I was a jinx, that my presence had killed his last child. The final scene, a dimly lit room, the smell of anesthetic, his face, cold and full of determination. He said that I had taken away his 2 daughters, so now I had to give him one back. I remember the feeling of the injection, my consciousness slowly fading. I remember the vague pain on my face afterward. He didn't just steal my memories. He had surgery done on my face. He didn't keep my door locked forever. A few days later, he opened it again, brought me food again, and tried to act out the loving father role again. But now, Cecile was dead. There was only Elise with a terrifying calmness. I found a way to escape again, and this time, I knew exactly where I had to go. I went to a park where I knew Lena would be waiting. When she saw me, she started to say something, but I interrupted her. I remember now, I said, my voice steady. Everything. I am Dr. Elise Renaud. I was there, both times. Lena's eyes widened, and then she nodded, relief and pain appearing on her face at the same time. I'm sorry, she whispered. I meant to tell you sooner, but I was scared. It's okay, I said. Now is not the time for apologies. Now is the time for action. We sat on a bench, and for the first time, not as a confused victim, but as a logical doctor, I laid out a plan. We need undeniable evidence, I said. Our words are not enough. He'll say we're crazy. We divided the tasks. Lena, on the outside, would be the one to search for my past, medical records, medical school enrollment records, and most importantly, my plastic surgery records, if they existed. She would also try to find anything belonging to Marie, especially her diary. My part was more dangerous. I had to stay in the lion's den. I returned to that house, but with a different purpose. I bought miniature recording devices and cameras, hiding them in the most discreet places in his living room and office. My goal, to make him confess. I started my own memory therapy sessions. I deliberately brought up Amélie and that family. I played the part of a Cecile obsessed with hatred, a perfect product that he had created. Father, I said at dinner one night, I want them to pay. I want them to suffer like us. I saw a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. He started to talk about his revenge plan, about how that family would soon have to pay the consequences, about how I would be the perfect tool to carry it out. And in the silent room, the tiny recording device was quietly recording everything. Every word he said was another link in the noose I was making for him. And Marie? Your second daughter. I was there too. I saw her despair when you tried to turn her into a copy of Amélie. She didn't die because of me. Marie took her own life because of the unbearable pressure you yourself created. I pointed at him, my final accusation. You couldn't accept the truth, so you found someone to blame. You chose me. You turned me into a puppet, a tool for your sick hatred. And that family you made me hate. They are innocent. That whole story was something you fabricated. You injected venom into my mind, turning me into a monster just like you. I was no longer Cecile, his puppet. I was Elise, and I was taking my life back, right here, right now. Shut up, he yelled, lunging at me again. Madness had clouded all reason. It's all your fault. But he didn't get to me. The front door burst open. 2 uniformed police officers walked in, followed by investigators. They had been standing outside, listening to everything through the communication device that Lena had brought. Pierre froze, his face changing from rage to extreme panic. He looked at me, then at Lena, then at the police officers. He understood. This was a trap. Mr. Pierre Dubois, an investigator said, his voice calm and unshakable. You are under arrest on suspicion of unlawful confinement, intentional assault, and psychological manipulation. We didn't say another word. We just stepped back, giving them the USB drive containing all the audio and video files, along with the file on my true identity and Marie's diary. The evidence was more than enough. 2 police officers handcuffed him. He didn't resist. All his strength seemed to have been drained. As they led him past me, he stopped for a second, looking at me with eyes still etched with hatred, but now also with the despair of a completely defeated person. I looked him straight in the eye, without a hint of fear. The door closed. The play was over. The following months were a series of legal procedures. Pierre Dubois's case shocked the country. Kidnapped doctor, sick revenge plot, victim becomes puppet. Sensational headlines were everywhere. Every time I was in court, looking at him, old and helpless in the dock, I didn't feel pity. I only felt a cold satisfaction. This wasn't revenge with violence. This was revenge with justice. By exposing the truth, I had stripped him of his only weapon, lies. As for me, I also had to face the consequences. Although the final conclusion about Amélie's death was still an accident, I still had to go through interrogations and give testimony. Public opinion was divided into 2 sides. Some saw me as a victim, others whispered about the unlucky doctor. I learned to accept it. The truth is not always pretty. Throughout that time, Lena was always by my side. Our shared pain and shared fight bonded us together in an unbreakable way. We had become family, a family built on truth and trust. When everything calmed down, I had to face the most difficult question. Who was I now? I was no longer Cécile, Pierre Dubois' puppet. But I was also not completely Elise Renaud, the doctor of the past. The past had left indelible scars. My journey was not about erasing the past, but about accepting it. I accepted that I was both a victim and a person who carried the burden of a mistake I didn't intentionally cause. I started to reconnect with my biological family. They were shocked, they cried, and they flew to see me. The healing would take time, but it had begun. I decided I wouldn't give up medicine. I couldn't. With the experience of both a doctor and a victim, I realized I could do more. I joined support groups, becoming a voice for victims of psychological manipulation. I used my medical knowledge to explain psychological mechanisms, and I used my own story to show them that they were not alone. That's how I found myself again. Not by returning to my old self, but by building a new person from the fragments of the past. This morning, I stood in front of the mirror. The woman in the mirror was different. Her eyes had resilience. Her face, while still having features that weren't entirely mine, was now mine. Every scar, both visible and invisible, was a part of my story. I had reclaimed my life. I had completed my revenge not with the hatred he had tried to instill, but with truth and justice. I was no longer Pierre Dubois's daughter. I was also not the murderer in his insane accusations. I was Elise, a doctor, a survivor, a person who fought to reclaim herself. I looked in the mirror one last time, and a thought resonated clearly in my mind. Not an imposed memory, but a choice of my own. Memories can define me, but they do not control me. I am who I choose to be, starting now, with all my truths and my scars.